All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we got some inside information coming out about Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach, and it ain't all good news. Part of it is related to the fight date, and the other was related to some rumors around Lamont Roach coming out of Washington, D.C. Let's talk about that. In this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest fights coming up this year, Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach. I am doing a lot of different videos on this fight because it, for me, is the most highly anticipated fight of the year. Much more highly anticipated by me than Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, because truth be told, nobody asked for Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford, but they are spending goo gobs amount of money to try to sell a fight that they're giving away for free. Just doesn't make sense to me. However, the real biggest fight coming up the rest of this year, the one that's actually going to make money and that fight fans want to see because they know that they're going to get an exciting fight, is the Gervonta Davis-Lamont Roach fight. And let's also say that the Lamont Roach-Gervonta Davis fight actually means something because neither one of those guys, either Tank or Lamont Roach, are going to retire after that fight. Terrence Crawford is going up there to fight Canelo Alvarez and probably has no intention, at least at this moment, of doing anything after that fight, win or lose. So it just doesn't have as much significance to it. However, though, at least they have announced their fight, even though they've not given a fight venue or anything, and nobody should be really confident about buying tickets for it because, again, they said the date was going to be in Vegas, but last time I checked, Allegiant Stadium still has a college football game there that day. So who knows? Now, on the same side of it, though, the Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach fight, hey, man, we're getting kind of close to the end on that one, too, because it's supposed to be on August 16th. We have 4 more days left in June. So that's all of July and 6. So you basically have, what is that, 7 weeks, right? So that means that they have to start their training camps soon in order for those guys to really be able to have that date. Now, why haven't they announced it? I have my theory on why they haven't announced it. I think they're probably going to wait to get to the Mario Barrios fight with Manny Pacquiao because they have that fight that's coming up before Gervonta. So I would suspect that you start hearing a lot about that promoting of that fight around that time because they have to promote each fight that they have. Right now, it's time to promote Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios and the undercard that exists there. So I'm assuming that we're going to get it. We're going to get the information about Gervonta for sure in that fight card right around the time Manny Pacquiao and Mario Barrios have their pay-per-view fight. Now, that said, I want to talk about Lamont Roach because, man, I watched this interview and I really couldn't see it, but this is what people in DC have been telling me about Lamont. And they said, look, man, Lamont Roach is living his best life in between that last fight and this fight. Lamont says that he's been in the gym, he's been focused, he's been on, but there's other people that have been saying Lamont Roach has been partying. That's one of the interviews that Lamont Roach gave. They thought Lamont might have been a little bit elevated. I personally could not see that in him. However, that's what the general impression of a lot of people were that watched him, and what people have been saying about him in DC, saying, yeah, Lamont been partying, man. But at the end of the day, partying ain't gonna, party. How old is he? Like 28, 29-year-old young man. So, hey, man, his body can probably still snap back. But I do hope that, that it's not some situation where, he really is kind of like like Roberto Duran did. If you remember when Roberto Duran originally beat Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Leonard pushed for the rematch for Roberto Duran to happen as fast as he could, because he had inside information on what Roberto Duran was doing in between fights, and how Roberto Duran had blown up in weight, and he was, had all these different, social commitments, right? Different endorsements and things. So he was living his life, right? And winds up coming back to the fight with Sugar Ray Leonard in the rematch and just totally getting outclassed and dominated, in large part because of what happened with his training in between fights. Now, from what we hear about Gervonta Davis, on the other hand, Gervonta Davis has been in the gym the entire time. And also, he ain't out there partying because he's out there on I think he's on probation for another 18 months. So I think he's probably looks like he's really, really locked in. Lamont Roach, just listening to how Lamont Roach talks, Lamont Roach sounds like he thinks he won the fight like 8-4, right? And it was a real easy win for him. And there's all kind of things that he can see in Gervonta Davis for the next fight. But I mean, if you're talking like that, but you feel super confident about it, and you are not hungry, and you're not acting like, man, this is something I got to go get, this is something I already have, then you can see it. Like I said, you can see a dip in performance, just like you saw with the great Roberto Duran. Also, I wonder just a little bit if Gervonta Davis was underestimating Lamont Roach. Now, their whole crew said they knew that Lamont Roach was a legitimate fighter, that he was a tough fight, and he was going to be a tough fight for anybody. But in the back of Tank's mind, he probably still thinks, hey, man, I'm Tank, I'm the man, and, that he's just going to be able to walk Lamont Roach into some type of trap, right? That's not what took place in that fight. Lamont Roach was on his P's and Q's, so Gervonta's definitely going to have to switch stuff up. And if Lamont Roach is not prepared for Gervonta Davis to really tighten this stuff up and to switch up and do different things, then, it could be a situation where Lamont Roach winds up getting in trouble in that fight. And I have to tell you, man, I think the good of boxing, I want Gervonta Davis to win. I can't lie, man. And I want to see, but Lamont Roach, for me, is just like somebody like Brian Norman Jr., somebody that just bust up on the scene, a young Black American fighter, champion, that I'm going to root for, man, other than this fight with Gervonta Davis, because I want Gervonta Davis to win. But look, I'm hoping for Lamont Roach's sake that Lamont Roach, really, really, really is on his P's and Q's, that his mind is all the way right for this fight, that he doesn't let, even the fact that, Gervonta didn't sign his contract yet, get into his head, because you never know what these guys are going to do to try to mess with you. You know what I mean? And Gervonta Davis got a very, very experienced camp, and he's very, very experienced, and very, very experienced himself. But at the end of the day, man, I can't wait for this fight to get announced. I'm positive that it is going to be announced. My thing is, I want to get this undercard. Like, I'm hoping that we can get this Gary Antoine Russell. I think Gary Antoine Russell is supposed to be fighting a Japanese guy, something like that. But hopefully Gary Antoine Russell can be on that undercard. We got Rayo, who's available. Rayo Valenzuela, who's available around that time, man. So anyway, man, we'll find out. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.